Hey everybody, welcome to Midnight Customs. I'm Brandon, and we are doing another video in the series on Fluxcore welding for beginners by beginners. So today we want to talk about metal prep and having clean metal. So the thing you want to do is you want to clean your metal. The cleaner it is, the better welding you're going to have going on there. Better penetration, but arc, less chance of porosity, which is basically wormholes, faulty weld. It's not going to hold. It's a crap weld. So coming from the steel yard, well, let's back that up. The mill puts a coating on when they roll their steel out, so to kind of protect it. It's a very tough coating, and it can be a real pain to get off. So if you can see it in the video, this table doesn't necessarily have a mill scale on it. I mean, it does, but it's not super heavy. But the tiger stripes in it, that's from being pressed out of a steel slab into a 1/4-inch plate. But what we have here is a piece of flat bar, and this side has not been prepped. It's dirty. You can weld to it. It's not recommended. For your best weld and your best possible contact, you want to clean it. So you want it to be like this. And we're doing Fluxcore. Fluxcore is what it is. It's not like TIG welding where it has to be absolutely sanitary. So clean your metal. And there's a few ways you can do it. There's chemical solutions you can put together with household stuff, vinegar and a few other things. I've never used that method because you got to let it soak, and what it does is it'll soften up this coating and you'll be able to grind it off a little easier. But it just depends on how much time you have. Most people use a flap disc or a sander, whatever. I prefer using flap discs on a 4.5-inch angle grinder, and these are your run-of-the-mill aluminum oxide style flap discs. This one's a 60 grit. I bought this in a bundle pack. It was 40, 60, 80. Yeah, 40, 60, and 80 grit. And it came in, I think, stacks of 10 or whatever per grit. They work pretty good. They worked great for me until I came across a different type of flap disc, which is a zirconia compound. It's not aluminum oxide. So I already chewed up through my 40 grits on this. This is why I'm showing you a 60. But like I said, these are super cheap. You can get them in a stack like this tall on Amazon for, pennies on the dollar almost. But I only have a handful of these left, and I'm just trying to burn through them just to get rid of them because everything costs money. These are consumable, and you don't want to just throw money away if you don't have to. You know what I mean? So there's that. Now I'll show you what my personal preference is. This is a bevel type T29 zirconia flap disc. It's got 90 flaps per disc. Now, what the bevel is that they're talking about is this edge here. This has got a super aggressive edge, and it really cuts into this mill scale really nicely. I prefer using 40 grit. 40 grit really hogs off the excess welds or the splatter. 40 grit's very good for grinding. I use it to get the mill scale off, like I said. If I have a nasty weld, as I made a mistake, whatever, I use the 40 grit, and you can use either one in 40 grit, but these are made by Easy Arc, and you can get them in a variety of grits. Like I said, I prefer the 40, but the thing I like about this, well, if you look, show you there, look at the thickness difference. You could do a lot with these, but these work a lot better, and they really cut through the stuff. I wouldn't use this probably on really thin material if you do use very light pressure, but that's for something for you to figure out depending on, you know, what you're working with, whether you're working with thick steel or itty bitty bitty, you know, 20, 22, 26 gauge sheet metal. So also on your welds, these things will cut down, like right here on this piece of plate. I don't know if you can see it too well or not, but we'll get you in here. We've got some dross. Now I can chip this off. This is from a plasma cutter, but say this was a weld and you get down on there, this thing will just cut that right off. Or if you're in a joint like this, you can get in that joint with the edge of these far better than you can these. So I'll leave a link to these in the description if you're interested in them. I've turned a few of my friends onto these, and like I said, these work really nice. The zirconia blend sanding disc works far better than the aluminum oxide, but like I said, you should always do with what is in your budget and what you're comfortable with doing. Dirt cheap, very affordable, little more expensive than these, but we're not talking massive margins. Like, if you're going to spend the money, like if it was me, I'm going to buy these. So that's my personal thing. And there's a whole bunch of these you can get. So now we want to talk about metal thickness. Well, how do you do that? How do you figure it out? Say you picked up a piece of flat bar like this out of a scrap bin, whatever. Don't know what size it is. You can get you one of these little gauges, and they've got a couple different styles. They've got this one, which has a little ruler on it that goes up to 2.5 inches, I believe. 2-inch, whatever. Excuse me. But if you look, I don't know how well that shows up on the camera. You've got numbers and you got these little teeth. So what you would do is you take one of these, take your piece of steel and fit it in. See how these are loose, loose, loose. So what we got is a piece of 1/8 inch flat bar. Flat bar is really great. It's very affordable. You can get these in 20-foot sticks for, you know, a couple dollars a foot or what have you. I'll let you in on a little secret about buying steel. You're going to be money ahead. I mean, cubic dollars ahead if you find a steel supplier. I'm not talking about like a farm and ranch store or a Home Depot or a Lowe's. The markup on those is astronomical. To give you an example, I bought a 24-inch by 24-inch square sheet of 16 gauge sheet metal from Tractor Supply. And it cost me $40. $40 for a 2-foot by 2-foot square piece of sheet metal. I found a steel yard about an hour from where I live and end up buying a 4-foot by 8-foot sheet for $110. I still have 3/4 of that sheet, and I just take off what I need. I've also bought in flat bar at a farm and ranch store, or like a Home Depot, Lowe's hardware store type place. The problem is, it's like I said earlier, it's a massive markup, and you don't got to pay that if you're on a budget, or you just need something that you got to fix something, a farm implement, a gate, a door lock, a door, what have you, whatever requires this metal. Find you a local steel yard. They're all over the place. And it's going to vary. Prices are going to vary, and availability is going to vary depending on your specific area. But you can also find you a local welding shop in your town or the next town over, what have you, and ask them, hey, can you order me, whatever it is you're looking for, a 4x4 square tube, 1/4 inch thick, just for an example, and ask them to order it. And you might pay a little more, but it depends on if you want to go to town or you don't want to go to town, you know what I mean? Or a lot of fabrication and welding shops can actually get you specialty items that aren't necessarily readily available. Different alloys, whatever manufacturing process, whether you want hot rolled or cold rolled. All the steel that I use is hot rolled. Just because I'm not really doing anything like extremely structural that I would necessarily need cold rolled for. Cold rolled's nice. It's really nice if you want to build your own tools. Anyway, so if you want to figure that out, like I said, figure out your thickness. You can get you one of these gauges. You can get them anywhere. I mean, that deals with metal or welders. Any welding supply shop will have these. Or you can get you some good old-fashioned Harbor Freight digital calipers. These are also super cheap, and they have much more uses for other things that you want to do. So we'll just put it in here. That's 0.125. We'll go to our chart here on this little gauge. That's 0.1250. I read that to you wrong. Yep, 0.1250. So, super cheap. They got a lot of uses. Get you some of these. Definitely get you one of these. And definitely get you a good flap disc. Like I said, I recommend 40 grit for grinding the mill scale off, and also grinding down welds or whatever your process is doing slag. But this is about Fluxcore. So there's that. And then one other thing when you're Fluxcore welding, let me grab it real quick. Wire brush. Your welder should come with a little wire brush. But if you want to save some money, you can get these in like a 2-pack at Harbor Freight. Or if you got an old barbecue grill brush for rubbing your grills before and after you cook, you know what I mean? Just get you a barbecue wire brush. So super cheap, very affordable. The other thing I like to do is I like to put a wire wheel in a drill. Takes a lot of elbow grease out of busting off the flux. wear a face shield when you use one of these. Whether you use this in a drill or you got one of the ones that goes on your angle grinder, these things are like little heat-seeking missiles, and they're aiming for your eyeballs. So do yourself a favor. Don't be a dumbass and wear a face shield when you're grinding. Also, if you're using a cut-off wheel to cut your metal apart, I'm going to say use the guard that came with it. You can even cut the guard down a bit to modify it to give you some more room. Or you can take it off. But just know that those discs can and do explode. I've had 3 of them explode on me, but all 3 times I was wearing a face shield that's rated for 300 mile an hour impact. I'm not going to firsthand test the 300 mile an hour rating. I don't ever want to find that out. I just want to know that it's going to protect my face enough that I can either let go of the power button, drop the tool, or move my head out of the way first and foremost. So, but all that depends on what you want to do. I'm urging you to be safe, but we all know that safety third is usually how it goes. So